There was nothing wrong with that dive bomb by David Gaudu.
Not in my face.
Jonas Vingegaard just snapped at the Vuelta and then accused stage winner David Gaudu of dive bombing him in the finale of yesterday's stage. But was Gaudu actually in the wrong, or is Jonas already cracking under the pressure after only 3 days of racing? Well, firstly, let's have a look at what Jonas had to say himself, and then we're going to break this one down. So interestingly, Jonas is usually pretty cool, calm and collected, especially in the media environment, but this one starts off kind of differently. As you'll see from the word go, he's clearly irritated and annoyed as he's trying to do his warm down on his TT bike. So this is his initial reaction when he's faced with the interviewer. So we can see here instantly that he's annoyed as he's re-watching footage back from the finish. But you can clearly see that he's frustrated as he pushes the camera out of his face and says, "Not in the face." So instantly we can tell that Jonas is more annoyed than usual. That's not his standard sort of reaction. And then when he actually does the interview, we can clearly see that that annoyance continues. And this is what he has to say.
Jonas, not a win today, but it looks like a very good result.
Third place again. It was a hard finish, a hard day, so happy to make it through.
And to gain some time on GC.
Yeah, I mean, David Gaudu, he took some time because of the bonus, but then I don't know if I gained some time or not, but at least third on the stage, and then I gained 4 bonus seconds, so of course I'm happy with that.
So that's interesting because he hasn't said anything particularly outrageous yet, but he's saying he's very happy with third on the stage in the 4 seconds, but he doesn't look very happy, does he? His body language here to me is he's clearly still annoyed. And we don't have to wait long before finding out why he's so annoyed, as he goes on to say...
You thought sometimes that you were going to win?
What, sorry?
Did you think that you were going to win?
No. Pedersen was going very strong, and I didn't really think that I could go past him because I was suffering a lot in the wheel, and then in the last corner.
So that's interesting. So just before he gets to the next bit, we're going to make a note of that and come back to that later. So he says here he didn't think he could win and he was really suffering just sitting in the wheel of Pedersen. So that's important for later on. But first off, this is what he says.
David Gaudu, he dive bombed me and Pedersen, so was quite a move, but that's cycling.
So interestingly there, he accuses Gaudu of dive bombing him, kind of implying that it wasn't a particularly safe move. And then he goes on to say, but that's just cycling. So that's very interesting if you ask me, because Jonas is clearly annoyed and frustrated. We very rarely see him annoyed, flustered, or showing any emotion at all. And here he is, batting the camera away from his face, saying that Gaudu dive bombed him, and clearly being frustrated from start to finish. So clearly he's worked up by that, or by something else. And then the next question we have to ask ourselves is, was Jonas right about the fact that Gaudu dive bombed him, or is he overreacting? Well, let's break down and have a look at some of the finish from the race, and I'll give you my opinion on this one. And for those of you that aren't aware of the details or didn't catch yesterday's stage 3, the finish for this one was an uphill sprint. Mads Pedersen was the heavy favourite. His team, Little Trek, paced pretty much all day. And much like stage 2 that Jonas won, the uphill kick to the finish on this one meant that it was going to be quite a selective group fighting it out for the win. And having performed well and gotten third on stage 2, David Gaudu was up there with Jonas and Mads Pedersen again on stage 3. And as we can see from this shot of the finish, Mads Pedersen was on the front, Jonas was on his wheel, and then Gaudu was in third wheel just behind, as these guys have pretty much left most of the main group behind, opened up a gap and are going for the finish. And the moment that Jonas is frustrated about and accuses Gaudu of dive bombing him is this moment here as they go around this corner. We can clearly see that Gaudu decides to take the inside line around the corner, cutting it short, presumably because it looked like Pedersen was taking quite a wide outside line. Now Jonas was on Pedersen's wheel and sat just behind him, taking an even wider outside line. And this is the point where Gaudu launched it and decided to take his chance, saw the quicker line on the inside and went for it. And he uses the momentum of that corner and the shorter line to springboard around those two guys, catching Jonas unaware a little bit by the looks of it, and taking advantage of Pedersen's poor cornering. And at that point, as they are just accelerating out of the corner now, Gaudu is already in the lead. He's already gone ahead of Pedersen and Vingegaard. And as they come around the corner into sight, it's pretty much already game over. Gaudu's already at the front of the race and he's not going to cede it from here. And it was a great finish from Gaudu. It looks like he's really in form at the minute, as we could tell at the end of stage 2 when he got third. But the question is, was Jonas right to criticise? Did Gaudu do anything wrong here? Essentially, I think the crux of Jonas's argument here is that it was unsafe for Gaudu to take that line, dive bomb them as he says. But to be honest with you, I don't really see it. I don't see how that's an unsafe move. The only reason I could see Jonas being annoyed here is if he was planning to take that inside line himself in just a moment and Gaudu shuts the door on him and takes that inside line first. But that's not a question of safety. That's just who reacts quicker, who sees the gap and who takes it. So I really don't see anything wrong with this. I think Gaudu saw, took and seized his opportunity perfectly. I'm not really too sure why Jonas is annoyed. As I mentioned when we were watching the interview, to remember the fact that he said he didn't think he could win that one. He said he was really suffering in the wheel of Pedersen and that he didn't think that he could win. Well, if that's the case and Gaudu took the inside line and managed to get a couple of yards and get the win, why are you so annoyed about him shutting the door on you when you said that you didn't think you could win this one? He didn't even look like he was making a move for that inside line, although to be fair, the camera shots weren't particularly great, so it was hard to tell. Which then forces me to ask the question, why did Jonas give that much of an annoyed reaction in the first place? If he didn't think that he could win and it didn't seem that safety was too much of an issue. And there's a couple of options that might explain this one. Firstly, we have to remember this is the first time he's wearing the leader's jersey in a Grand Tour for a couple of years now. And with that comes quite a lot of pressure. Is he now feeling that pressure a little bit more, knowing that he is the heavy favourite and is looking to defend that all the way to stage 21? To be honest with you, I don't think it's that. He's used to the pressure. He's certainly been in the biggest race of the year, the Tour de France, the last few years, and performed at the top level. But more likely, in my opinion, is that he's downplayed the effects of his crash on stage 2 a little bit. He gave the thumbs up and the wave and the kiss to the camera when he got back on his bike. And of course, we know he won that stage, so he certainly didn't appear to be too hurt in the moment. If you look at that crash, he slid quite far. He's certainly going to have a little bit of road rash after that one. We know that those sorts of injuries are quite nasty when it comes to being able to rest, recover, sleep and heal. And rather than being a massive injury, it's more likely to be an annoyance that's impacting his ability to sleep and therefore making him irritable and potentially annoyed at little things that wouldn't usually make him annoyed, like this. So I think that's much more likely to be what's going on here, and he might find himself feeling quite sore, achy and tired over the next week or two, which, considering it's quite a long way left to Madrid, might make for an interesting race for us as viewers. So, is Jonas right about Gaudu's big move yesterday? Or is this just frustration at missing a stage win, coupled with the fact that he's tired and sore from his crash on stage 2? But I certainly thought it was a very interesting and human moment from a rider that doesn't often show a lot of emotion, certainly in that regard. And I can't wait to see how this one's going to play out on the road to red. So let me know down below, do you think Jonas was right about the move? Do you think he's going to be wearing red by the end of the Vuelta? So thank you for watching this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, comment, most importantly subscribe. It's free, really helps the channel. And catch you on the next one.